In previous cycles, we saw negative price momentum and action inside the crypto market. Now we're starting to see signs of repair. Does that mean that Bitcoin is about to take off? Or are the stock market indices about to pull Bitcoin down? In this video, we'll find out. Let's run the numbers. In the past session, the stock market did really well. Nvidia up 3.77%, Google up 2%, Meta up more than 3%. Tesla got hit negative 1.42%, but it did really well the day previous. And we can see that Apple and also Microsoft were on the way up. The crypto market also did well, with Bitcoin up 4.14%. Beating Ethereum, Doge, XRP, ADA. We can see that Bitcoin has absorbed the majority of the flow of funds inside the crypto market. Bitcoin, if it comes up 1%, it typically drives up things double percent. So we would expect, for example, Solana to be around 8%, BNB to be about 8% up. We typically see a very strong intercorrelation and relationship between the S&P 500 and Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the blue line. Also the NASDAQ and Bitcoin. Also the Russell 2000 and the Dow. What we're seeing in the futures at the current time is that there's weakness exhibiting itself across the major indices. Could this mean that Bitcoin is in for a retracement? It is something you definitely need to put on your radar. Tracking Bitcoin from past cycles, we saw negative price momentum over the past week or so in the 2016 halving cycle and also the 2020 halving cycle, followed by a retracement and a rally up. We're starting to get that rally starting to come through. But that doesn't mean it can't come up and down. Look at the variability between these specific candles. If you just keep your eye on the major trend, it is up at the moment, but you should expect volatility, especially this week. On the economic data front, there's a lot of data coming out, and we had the final services PMI. It's still in expansion territory, but it's lower than was anticipated. And that's thrown a bit of a spanner into the works. The US is expecting recovery. If we don't get a flat CPI reading year on year and a slightly elevated CPI flash estimate, the markets could get into some turbulence rather quickly. Also, please keep in mind that the JOLTS job openings and the ADP non-farm employment change, and especially the FOMC meeting minutes from the Fed coming out Thursday, they're likely to move the market around quite substantially. As I was mentioning yesterday, in yesterday's video, please be prepared for both up and downside volatility. And that's how you make your money, so that's nothing to be scared of at all. In yesterday's video, Bitcoin was around that 98,384 level. There were a couple of levels that we needed to keep our eye on. If we got above the 99,798, we could move very quickly up to that 102 level. If we came down below the 96,480, that was pretty much a line in the sand where the bears could get control. Let's have a look at how it all played out. When you understand structure and how it intercorrelates and interrelates across all of the different charts, you'll see that the CTKS levels are amongst the most powerful smart money buy and sell level detection systems in the entire world. We saw that when we broke through that 97,798 mark, it was a positive shoot up to the 102,691. This is called a positive CTKS gap. We know where the gaps are inside the market before they occur. It's literally a superpower. Looking into price action now, it's important that we get above that 103,373 level of structural resistance. It's quite likely that we're going to play around inside this zone for a period of time. This is quite heavy structure, so we might end up just stagnating across there. We also note that Bitcoin has come up and the alts haven't done much to follow. This consolidation inside Bitcoin could lead to an upside momentum shift inside the alt market. We understand that Bitcoin has cut over and is showing a degree of positive momentum on the daily basis. But however, just remember there is always volatility inside the markets, and that's how we make our money, so we have no issue with that. The two key levels just to keep your eye on at the 102,691 and the 99,798 level. Continued movement above the 102,691 confirms a bullish case scenario, and we might find that we move very quickly up to the 106,039 level. Because there's a gap inside the structure and we know it's there, just like we knew there was a gap inside and above 99,798. Please let me know in the comments, do you think we're going to go bullish in the next 24 hours or do you think we're going to reject and go bearish? Please let me know. It's vitally important to keep your eyes on the structural levels of total crypto market cap as well. And what did we see in the past 24 hours? We saw this level of structural support playing out at that $3.44 trillion mark. As Bitcoin came up and exploded through its own positive CTKS gap, it pushed the entire crypto market with it through this very strong structural support which has come down and been retested. Now it's vital that the entire crypto market can move across this $3.54 trillion mark to confirm the continuation in bullish trend. As a community, we're always prepared for upside and downside price momentum. If price comes down and we know what we're doing, that is, we know where the structural support levels are, we can grab a bargain. And if it goes up, we can bank a profit, so it's all good. When you know where structural support and structural resistance levels are, price behavior becomes more predictable because at least you know where the ceilings and safety nets are. When we look at gold, which has been marked up with level 1 and level 2 standard certification, we can see that across literally 70,000 days worth of data, we know where the structural support levels are and we know where the structural resistance levels are. In the past 24 hours, we saw that gold broke through that structural resistance at 26.35. It had a positive CTKS gap, which meant that it could explode upwards very quickly. But unfortunately, the US 10 and the US 2-year had other plans for gold. Therefore, the sellers that were inhabiting the 26.52 were pushing the price of gold down. And because it was in a positive CTKS gap, it turned into a negative one with a structural overshoot and negative structural attraction to that 26.22 mark, where it found structural support. We're not surprised about this at all because that's what structural support does. When we get a structural pass on a structural support level, it creates a positive structural attraction to the next structural resistance level above, which was 26.35, and we can see we're just flatlining along that at the current time. When you're trading and investing, knowing where the actual structure is vitally important, or else it just feels like you're guessing. And even more important is to understand the intercorrelation and interrelationship between a variety of different charts. Gold is severely impacted by the yields. If you've been doing your cheat sheet correctly, you would know that the VIX has under support, and that support is getting tested at the current time. So one thing that you want to be aware of, even though the VIX is coming down, it's getting into a level of structural support at the current time, which may mean a technical bounce, and that's what's been playing out inside the futures. This is no surprise to us. We look directly across all markets. To understand how all the markets are moving together, you can grab from the description of this video the watch list from the CTKS Method service. We can see that the VIX came up marginally and that marginal increase in the VIX is enough to throw cold water right across the financial system. These things are really important to understand, and we can see that the 10-year came up. Junk bonds came up slightly, and gold was hit. The silver was a little bit stronger. The S&P 500 and the Nasdaq came up slightly. We're now seeing that the major indices, for example, the S&P 500 futures and the Nasdaq futures, are coming up marginally, but there is pressure on the Dow and also on the Russell. When we look down a little bit further, we can see that MicroStrategy was absolutely killing it in the past session. And of course, that follows Bitcoin. So if you want to know what's happening with MSTR, please keep your eye on Bitcoin. That's the one that you need to look at. Currently, USTD dominance is registering outflows from stablecoins into the crypto market, and that's predominantly going into Bitcoin at the current time. The alts will catch up sooner or later, but it's just basically a flow of confidence at the current time. And we can see right across the board, we haven't had really any percentage gainers because the VIX is starting to come up again. Therefore, what I would personally do is just get prepared for downside volatility to take advantage of it. And we can see quite an unusual thing when it comes to Bitcoin, which is the white line. Bitcoin is generally either in the middle or at the bottom. Right now, it's at the top. It's only being beaten by BNB, which has been pretty much asleep for the past couple of weeks. We can see the lower bank is Litecoin, Pepe, and Ethereum, followed by WIF and SHIB and Doge, so the memes are getting whacked at the current time. The upper bank, BNB, Bitcoin, and Bonk and Floki, followed by Solana and Bitcoin Cash. You can make a lot of money through financial markets, and some examples of past trades are available on CTKSmethod.org. You can also pick up your cheat sheet, and the cheat sheet is a free digital download which can take you through what you need to know about financial markets. One of the most important things to understand when you're inside financial markets, you need to know how they actually work. A lot of people, unfortunately, do not know how they work. The row 1s and the row 2s are vitally important to understand. If you don't understand the intercorrelation and interconnection, you will miss the direction, momentum, and velocity of price changes across not only the stock market, commodities market, and also the crypto market, but as well as Forex as well. Our global CTKS family doesn't guess. Those inside the service already know the structural levels coming up on the row 1s, the row 2s, and forward, and quite a few of those structural levels have been released so far. And the Masterclass students also know that they must prepare for upside, neutral, and downside price action because price moves in a wave. For example, most people who are retail, unfortunately, they think it's either going up or it's going down. They'll make all their decisions based on a headline and have no detail. If you've been falling into this trap, it's really common when people start off, so please look more deeply. And that's why looking through the rows of the cheat sheet is incredibly important. And when you look through the rows of the cheat sheet, there's a bit of a guide that I can help you with at CTKSmethod.org. Just scroll down through the homepage and get to this section on the cheat sheet, and you'll see a list of videos, and the official ticker list for the service is here. That's the list I was talking about previously. If you're guessing or using intuition to try to make profits from the market, if you're just analyzing headlines, you're in a huge amount of trouble. You must run the numbers. You must go through the detail. And even more importantly, you must have a positive mindset. We are dedicated and committed as a global family. We either win or learn and never blame. If you miss an opportunity, who cares? Opportunities in life reset every single day, if not sooner. But unfortunately, the retail mindset always wants to buy at the bottom and somehow thinks that the bottom is something that you can detect. How do you detect a bottom? Okay, price is coming down like this, down like this. This was the bottom. How do you know that the next candle isn't going to be lower or the next candle is going to be higher? You can't tell a bottom until the next candle, just like you can't tell a top. If you're hunting for bottoms and tops, hey, guess what? You better give it up because it's not the way to go. One thing to understand, because price is always moving in a wave-based function, you can always make money. It's not a problem to make money inside the crypto market. It's very forgiving. And the one thing that we know about Bitcoin at the current time, it's starting to turn around. And at this point in the cycle, we expect upward price momentum. But that doesn't mean you're not going to get retracements. Even in something that looks like this, you've got this kind of stuff happening all the time. So whilst it might be going up, it's waving all the time. And as soon as you understand the price moves in a wave, you can just trade any kind of market, either down or up, but you must know where the levels are. Also, another very important thing is to just get your mindset correct. If your mindset is not correct, you cannot succeed. And you can see on CTKSmethod.org, under the mindset area, there's a lot of resources that you can look into. I suggest you do because they're really valuable. Have a great day or night ahead, my friends, and Kate and I look forward to catching up with you again in the next video. Bye for now.